I just told Abby. He didn't say anything to me. No, I don't have any update.
I know you obviously didn't have a couple guys today. What did you think of the way your team kind of was able to battle back throughout the game and find a way to pull it out?
Yeah, I mean, I thought we looked limited at times, but I thought we battled and we found a way. Everybody that played contributed in some way or another. We got a lot out of Tremont Waters, and that was really good. And then, everybody else made enough plays. Jalen and Marcus Smart answered the bell late over and over as they were hitting those really tough shots. We had that 5 to 6, 7 point lead there for most of the fourth that didn't feel good because they were hitting so many shots. And so we got to do a better job guarding the 3-point line. That's obvious. And then we got to do a better job of, getting those leads and extending them instead of letting them back. But part of it was elite shot making and special shot making in those moments by those guys. So you have to tip your cap to them as well.
Yeah, Coach, I wanted to ask you about Marcus down the stretch, but that last few possessions, when what was your expectation? First of all, when you called the timeout during the out-of-bounds play, and then what was your expectation on their final shot?
Well, first of all, I thought we were really good in those possessions leading up to the last one offensively. I thought they just kind of, we posted Jalen. Marcus hit a tough shot, but then Marcus made a good play on a drive, and so you score 3 straight times. Problem is they're hitting threes every time down the floor, or it feels like it. And then, Marcus's steal gets the ball back. We have it out of bounds. That's one of those deals where you only want a wide open layup, otherwise bring it out and let the clock run a little bit. We didn't have what I like, so I called the first timeout. They did a good job denying it. Second timeout, I thought we maybe had a look at the rim that we missed, but still got a shot up, and at least it was a live ball turnover, a dead ball turnover. So now we can go back, set our defense. We zoned on the last play, and Rob Williams covered for us. We made a couple of mistakes there too, but Rob Williams did a great job covering the corner for us.
Brad, you mentioned Tremont earlier. 20 minutes for him. What did you like out of him specifically that led you to stick with him so much in that second half?
Just has control of the game. Like he just has control of the game. You don't have to get too creative with any actions. You don't have to run complicated things. You just have to get in space, give him a step, and let him make the right play. I think he'll play a lot better when it's not his first time coming out here. But we think he's really good. And so, like I said before, we're not going to hesitate to play him. And that's why we started Brad in the second half, so we could play him more.
Coach, did it seem like there was a bit of overpassing for a stretch with you guys?
When?
Not
at the end.
Sorry?
Not at the end.
Not at the end, no. Probably earlier in the fourth, maybe later in the third. It seemed like there were some open threes that you maybe kind of dribbled out of.
Yeah, there were a couple of those, I think, in a couple of our younger players especially. I thought a couple of our older, better players passed a couple of them up early in the second when they went on their run right before we got back in the game. And, we need those guys, especially on nights like tonight, we need those guys to be really good. So, I'd rather them pass it up and overpass than underpass. But, yeah, there were some missed opportunities there for sure. We looked our age a lot tonight, I thought. There was some comical plays. The funniest I've ever seen. I think you can probably go back and watch them. Pretty entertaining.
There was a play towards the end where Brad was supposed to cut out of the corner. You're kind of yelling for him to make the cut and then call the timeout. And not a lot of coaches are willing to call a timeout halfway through a play at the end.
Yeah, that wasn't his fault. That was Jalen had a matchup that he was going to bring to the ball that I wasn't as fond of as maybe others, and so I recognized that we weren't going to be in a great position or the most advantageous position, and we ended up not being anyways because it's a hard place to inbound from up there, and they did a good job denying. But again, I got to go back and look at if we could have gotten a better look, but I think that ultimately that was the reason for the timeout.
Well, you don't see a lot of coaches being willing to call timeout halfway through a play. What kind of gives you the confidence to do that?
Having to helps, that everybody kind of thinks at that time that game is well in hand, but with the ability to advance the ball, it's far from that. So you need to score on that possession. That's why we have to be better in that situation to try to put the ball in the hoop. But that would be it didn't look like it was trending in the right direction.
Brad, I think in the second half you had a lineup of Carson, Shimmy, Tremont, Robert, and then Jason maybe was the fifth guy. So he was like the veteran, he was the old guy out there? Like
Butler had older players today. Yeah. It was fun. That's what I'm saying. There were
Are
some
you
fun
just
moments.
are you kind of just shaking your head just at the youth you're throwing out there, and then
I love it. I think it's great. They play really hard. They're really together. We can't count Jason as a young player, even though I know he's got a lot of room to grow, but he wants a lot of responsibility, and he has a lot of responsibility. Jalen the same. Now, we think when they're 28, they're going to be way better than they are now, and that's just part of the growth of a basketball player. But those guys have to be the older, savvy guys that have been through a lot in those moments.
what makes you trust Carson, Tremont, like that? Those guys in key moments as the second half.
Well, I thought Gary Carson benefited greatly from being on the floor with Tremont. You could kind of see, like, he could play off the ball and he could play off the pass instead of trying to be the guy making the plays. And so it allowed him a little bit more freedom, and probably passed up a shot or two that he could have shot. But I thought he played well, hit 2 huge shots. But I think, again, Tremont has control of the game. So that allows everybody to just kind of play in their spots.
Brad, we know that Buddy Hield is a good shooter, and
Is he?
you talked about the need to
Yeah,
guard
we
the
weren't very
three.
good.
He's had 2 of his best games of his life against you guys in the
Yeah.
past week. What
We're too low running around screens. Got to be higher and into his body more. And it happened over and over and over. They did a good job of setting screens at the right angle, really well taught. And then they did a good job of slipping screens at times and creating confusion. And it really hurt us. And as a result, we just got lower and lower because we got safer and safer. And then they killed us on the screen. He stepped into the 3. But you still have to make them. And hats off to him for doing that. Thanks.